Hello everybody, my name is James Elliott and I run Elliott Antique Clocks Limited and I also run the eBay shop, the Horology Centre. And today I've got a magnificent clock in front of me. It's an officer's clock by Courvoisier with Grande Sonnerie, Petite Sonnerie, pull cord for the alarm, pull cord for the repeat. I've made these little knobs on the end, as you see from the eBay photos. They weren't sort of featured, so that's something that I've done since then. So lots of detailed work has gone into this clock. It's in absolutely cracking condition. Normally the gilding on these clocks are absolutely shot, purely because they're a clock that's handled so much. As much as the date is concerned, I mean, yes, you'd get mantle clocks retaining their original fire gilding, but they've been mantle clocks. They're very rarely sort of handled. This being a travel clock, it would have been handled far more often, purely because of the very nature of the type of clock. And also the dials. The dials are normally in terrible condition and are either being restored or they're normally sort of cracked with terrible chips around the winding holes. But with this one, although it's not perfect, you'd never really expect to see one perfect, but it's as good as you'll ever get to see. There is some slight restoration around the winding holes, but it's been very well done and it has blended in with age very nicely. And I don't think you'll actually pick it up on the camera, but you may do on the images. There's a scratch going up here, but again, it's very faint. And that's it really. There's a bit of a mark there as well. The hands are original. Normally the minute hands are always replaced on these, so it's nice to see it's all original. The alarm hand again is original. You turn the alarm hand only anti-clockwise. I've pulled the alarm cord, so we're going to hear it go off at 3 o'clock. Like so. I hope I haven't wound that too much. And as that goes off, the cord is basically pulled back into position. There you can see the little repeat knobs I turned for this clock. Identical one on the other side. This wonderful Rococo detailing to the case. All very sharp, never been polished. There is some rubbing on the case, it's not absolutely perfect, but you'd have to expect that. As with the marks on the dial for such an early clock, collectors of these sort of clocks, would be extremely happy with this one, because as I said, the majority of them out there are really not in the same sort of, not even in the same sort of league. So here we can see the clock is numbered down here. You'll probably be able to see that better on the eBay images, and again on here on the movement, so it all tallies up, which is wonderful to see. Let's see if we can get a better look at that escapement. And for such an early escapement, as I said, 1810, you can see how healthily it is running. It's really pumping away. So let's pull the repeat cord and we will be able to hear these bells. Which sound absolutely marvellous. It's nice, this is the typical early Swiss movement. It's a lever escapement, which is much better than the verge escapement. It means you'll get much better timing from it, which is... the one sort of made sort of pre-1800 tended to have the verge escapements. This being sort of in the middle of the sort of production dates of this clock, is nice to have that lever escapement. Then we can see the strike is just flipped over for the hour, so the movement is prepared to strike the hours. So we'll just quickly wrap this up. It's got a Fusee movement. The Grande Sonnerie runs, here we go. the Grande Sonnerie and the alarm run on a spring barrel. And you can see the clock just runs absolutely perfectly. It's just extremely well preserved. And you can hear how well that fixture is on there. Really snaps shuts wonderfully, and so does the other side. Again, these are all areas that get really badly worn over time. And it's quite difficult once it is worn to actually then tighten it up. It's incredibly difficult. So it's nice to, every angle it looks wonderful. You've got that lovely convex glass and convex dial, which was very, very popular at this sort of time in cartel clocks, also on English clocks, on long case clocks. The dials that had a convex dial were always, sorry, what am I talking about? Not long case clocks, the wall clocks, sorry. They had a convex, the nice early sort of what they call station clocks or school clocks. They had that wonderful convex glass with the convex dial, and that's how you know that's an earlier clock. When they sort of reached 1860, 1870, they started doing the flat dials because they were much easier and much quicker to produce. But it just really, it's just a wonderful thing. So let's go around and listen to the clock striking. It just doesn't put a foot wrong. Other areas of the clock I really love is the obviously the signature. That's really wonderful. You know, you try replicating that today, you couldn't find somebody that could make signatures like that. And if you did, they'd probably be working for Cartier or Petit Philippe or one of these sort of major brands. The bezel again with this sort of roped finish on the outside and then replicated on the inside. It's just wonderful when the sunlight hits it. I'm cutting the sun out at the moment because you just get way too much reflection on the convex sort of glass and dial. So let's look at the clock in a little bit more detail from other angles. You can see how rich and how gorgeous that gilding is. There's an exact sort of I'd say you know, other example of one of these clocks in the Derek Roberts book, and it's the exact same style, same style of case. I think it's slightly smaller because this is actually quite a large clock. Just going to get my trusty tape measure. You know, to the top of the handle, we're dealing with like 23. I'm looking at the camera, and that's not the best sort of angle. It's around 24, and then without the handle, 20 centimeters. So it's a big clock, which you can't really ever appreciate on film. But then I suppose the comparison with my hand. Helps. There's casting fault there. That would have been there since the day it was made, but as the gilding has thinned out a little bit, it's obviously just highlighted a little bit more. But hey, that is really, I can't emphasise how much that is really nothing on such an early clock. I mean, this is in better condition than you see most sort of carriage clocks from the 1900s made, and this is sort of 100 years prior to that. So I think this speaks volumes. These wonderful Rococo sort of panels are absolutely fantastic. Put them in a little bit more detail. Fantastic. And the poured feet, so well done. All hand finished. The case would have been casted and then it would have been finished. You got these beautiful stylized sort of empire redid columns, which has sort of been machine finished on the inside, just to give that contrast. The handle, it's as tight as the day it was made. The hinge is perfect. As I said, this clock has spent a lot of its life, you know, perhaps just sitting in the cupboard. Absolutely fantastic. So it was made around the sort of Swiss area, around sort of 1810. These clocks are very, very far and few between, made way before the days of mass production. So they were all handmade. So you rarely get to see them come up at auction. I've seen these types of clocks in museums. You know, I've seen them you know, in books, and on the odd occasion one comes up at an auction house like Christie's and Sotheby's, and to be honest, they don't sell far off you know, the price that I would be willing to accept for this clock. But then you've also got to pay the premium, and they're not normally as, you know, in this sort of condition. So this is a really rare opportunity to buy one that's so well preserved and in such great working order. And you know, I've just enjoyed having it. I've got it on the mantelpiece, so I'm in no particular sort of rush to sell it because it just looks absolutely fantastic in the house. But like all these things, they need to go, unfortunately. So I'm here to do business, and you know, I'm happy to negotiate. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video of this wonderful clock. I've been searching for one of these for about 5 years now. Those that have followed me on YouTube and on eBay would have seen that I've never had another one of these for sale, and in doing some research I only found one other for sale in Europe, and this one's cheaper and that one's not as good condition. So there we are. Please subscribe. Please don't hesitate to contact me with any questions. My telephone number, my email address is on eBay. Probably best to contact me directly, and hopefully we can do a deal. Thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.